Hey, today on Packaging Unboxed, we're talking to Jesse Goldman of Continued in the comments on Instagram.
I think what I gave to you needs your notes, your little list of the bullet points. I'm gonna put them in a bullet point. Do you know the terror of a blank page?
We're talking about packaging design as shared by Snackshots, super popular newsletter that talks about CPG, new startups, and all sorts of food packaging. We're just going to give our honest opinion on how this packaging affects you as a consumer.
I respect so much work that goes into every single one of these, but I would have no idea how to value chill vibes versus sex. What?
Right. If you want to learn how to design packaging, check out this and all other episodes to kind of dig into the questions that are created when you design packaging. Jesse's a motion designer. This is one of two interviews that I've broken this out to with Jesse Goldman. The other one is all about design and being a young designer and how to succeed in selling your creativity. Do me a favor, subscribe to the show, subscribe to Jesse on Instagram, and let's get to it. All right, I want to talk to you about some stuff that I've seen here. So I kind of shared this before. Snackshots does an amazing job of finding like the coolest new brands, and she promotes them, whether they're good, bad, where they're showing up. And it's not so much focused on the design, but one thing I've noticed on this stuff is like the design of the individual products is pretty awesome. I love the way this stuff looks. Like all of this stuff independently looks amazing, but when I see it all kind of spread out, and you mentioned this is kind of what your local Whole Foods looks like.
Yes. Yeah.
There's just a lot happening in design, but I see a ton of work happening in this area, which means it's great. There's a lot of creatives out there that are putting design together. So there's work out there to be had. But I also kind of feel like if there's this much, if everything here is so wild and crazy, how do you make a fucking choice when you're buying something, when you're at your local Whole Foods? I don't have 3 hours to go through and see, what the fuck sex is, I got to compare that with, Fruga fruit, mango. Is there alcohol in here? No, it's a prebiotic, so it'll make me shit. Great. Like there's there's so many choices on here. But as a creative that's not in packaging, like if you look at all of this stuff, how do you feel about this?
It's so colorful. I think you put it really well that like each individually here is like cool, great colors, fun illustration, really interesting ways of like taking retro and making it new, something new and making it retro. And there's so much stuff going on here. But the decision fatigue here for me comes down to like, is butter a lifestyle brand? Like, do I really need butter to reflect my values? Like, I'm not like, it looks cool. It looks super cool, but I would see this at Whole Foods and then go for the Whole Foods 365 brand. Cause like, it just needs to be butter. I don't need it. Yeah. I don't need it to be, so much. I don't need it to be selling me on so much emotion, but also like this is the right. I feel like so many of these CPG brands do this thing of like, it's not just butter; it's a moral, ethical, and cool choice. Mm-hmm. Like that's a lot of weight to put on butter, So it all does kind of become like every prebiotic, every kombucha, it kind of tastes the same to me, So I'll kind of just grab what's on sale, It kind of becomes noise a little bit. I don't know. I respect so much work that goes into every single one of these, but I would have no idea how to value chill vibes versus sex. What? Right. Also, I don't know what the names are. Like, I don't know what the names of half these products are. Is that like is chill vibes the name of the thing or like a tag for it? Is what is Cobb? What is Fancy Pants? I see Sabrina Carpenter, Lolo. Some things I feel silly saying out loud. Like I don't like nope. Kellogg's is the only thing here that makes me feel like I understand what it is I'm getting. Like, oh, that's corn flakes. Got it.
But that's great. That's a great point, right? When you look at this on shelf, you can spot Kellogg's and you know exactly what it is, what you're getting instantly. And that's really when it comes down to when it comes to packaging, it's like you got to know what you're getting, right? Kind of the same thing with video. Those first like 3 seconds have to hook you, right? You can't draw it out right? It can't be, I watch like my kids would watch like the old Disney movies, and the old Disney movies have like a 15-minute credit intro, right? Where you're like, how the fuck did I stay awake for that much? And it's like, oh, written by so-and-so. And you're like, what the fuck's the story? Like, no, you got to hit people like instantly with what it is, like, so yeah, I don't know. I love the individual design of these. Like there's protein from Starbucks. I can spot that, the Special K, but everything else, I have to take time out of my shopping spree to figure out what any of these things are. Obviously they'll be in context, they'll be like in an area of those products, but I don't want to spend all day at the grocery store. I just want to get in, get out.
Yeah. Well, okay, I want to ask you a question because you're way more an expert at this than I am.
All right, let's take a quick second to talk about idpdirect.com. Go right to that website, download the design guides, the sustainability guides, the recyclable icon guide, which basically lists out all the different icons. It gives them to you in vectors. You can drop them right into your artwork right now, today, and go right into production. All right, back to the pod.
My friend of mine, Rachel, has this theory, and I want to ask: is there a point for you when something is so well designed, so interesting in its design that you don't trust the product anymore?
That's a good question. Like if I look at some of these products here, but of course I'm coming at it from a packaging design standpoint. I know that there's a shit ton of products out there that are just knockoff products that have amazing packaging, but the product inside is absolutely no different than the competitor that's a 50% discount. Then there's like this ego thing that happens, like where do I want to buy the cheap version of this? Right? It's like buying the cheap Stanley that everybody's walking around with, like the $40 Stanley. And you can go to Walmart and get like an exact duplicate of it for less. But I don't know if that's because I'm old, because with younger people today, like they're all about dupes, right? Like that's a big challenge, right? A lot of fashion brands are like, their sales are down, yet more people are walking around with like LV branded stuff that they're buying off of TikTok shop because it's a good looking dupe and they're paying $50 for it. And, younger people are like, why would I pay $1,000 when I can buy it for $50 and it looks exactly the same? Yeah. It's like it's kind of flipped. Now for me, it would be the opposite. I'm like, I don't want to walk around with some cheap thing. I grew up, walking, in New York, and you'd have the guy with like the suitcase and they have all the Rolexes, and like my dad or my uncles would buy one, and then it like falls apart. People that knew would be like, that's fake. And there's like that level of embarrassment. So I don't know. I think it depends on the age group.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it depends on the product too. There's like, to kind of summarize my friend's theory is that this idea that like, if something is so well designed, like really so hip and so right now, that there has been a souring on like startups, right? I think like as a culture, we're a little bit like, oh, another fucking startup. Where is this going to go? Are they going to be around come Q4? Like what's going on here? There's a bit of a she labeled this, and now I notice in myself, of like a mistrust of like, if this is so well designed, is this a VC backed startup that is like in it to make a quick cash grab, and the product doesn't even make any goddamn sense, or like is not delicious or well made, or is going to fall apart, or if I buy it now, will they exist to support it when it breaks in 2 years? So. And all they did was market the hell out of it. It's like they have crap products but great marketing. And I don't know. I wonder if there will be a contraction, if there will be a reaction to all this in a few years of like, listen, not everything is going to be chill vibes and sex. Maybe it's just butter.
I love that, man. No, there's a guy out there he did this product. It's like sex chocolate or something. It's basically just chocolate. It's just chocolate, but it comes in these triangles, and it's got like horny goat wheat blended in there. It's supposed to.
I think I've seen this. I think this sounds familiar.
It's a cheap product, but the packaging is really nice. And then the amount of money that they spent on Facebook and Instagram ads, is ridiculous. And these guys have exploded and they're everywhere. Now they're selling like, suitcases with, for every single month, different flavors. And it's like his and hers. And you're supposed to have like a piece of chocolate and then both of you are supposed to get turned on. And like this great story. And then they've spent a ton of money on TikTok. And, he shares all this stuff really on YouTube. He's like, yeah, he goes, we just spent a ton of money here. We did this over here. And it's just exploded. And it continues to grow and grow. It's just chocolate, but it's the story that they crafted around it and the packaging that they've put together and the way that they branded it. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, it's just chocolate. I'm just going to get a fucking Hershey's. I'm going to have sex. I'm going to have sex. The chocolate has nothing to do with it. Right? If I'm going to have just chocolate before I have sex, that doesn't play a role in what's happening.
There's been very few candies that have that us older men, we'll take what we can get.